So I was on Twitter the other day when I stumbled upon a poetry TikTok. It was very simple, just a shaky shot of a poem with some guitar playing under it, and it read, "It hurts, doesn't it? Seeing other boyfriends do big romantic gestures for their girlfriends, knowing he would never do that for you." I was immediately fascinated by this poem from the account Eliza Grace because one, it has 360,000 likes on TikTok, and two, it is, to my eye, just really bad. Bad in a way that makes me feel something. There's a flatness to this poem that's really hard for me to articulate. I don't think of myself as a great writer or reader of poetry, but to my eye, this work kind of lacks what makes a poem a poem. Don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to plain English poetry or free verse poetry. That stuff can of course be great, but when I step into a poem, I look for a feeling of intentionality or tension, a sense that language is taken seriously here, that the small details that make up our lives will be transformed and given clarity or something. This poem feels like it wants to do that for me, but it stops entirely short. Like the last line, "knowing he would never do that for you," is italicized. This is an indication to the reader that it is the crux of the poem, the emotional center, the deep realization. But is it? Does anything about these words surprise the reader, give us something we didn't have before? Does it take us somewhere, express something unexpected or emotionally resonant? Well, for me, no, it doesn't. It falls completely flat. Almost all of Grace's poetry is like that for me. Like, let's read another. "Set yourself free. Stop living in the past. Learn to be okay with what happened. If that's impossible, then don't be okay with it, but don't live in a world where you can't accept what happened and move forward. You don't have to be okay with what happened to accept it and move forward." So this is an even worse poem, I think. Truly, bad. The first stanza is written in this extremely clunky way. The double negative in its last line, "don't live in a world where you can't accept what happened and move forward," feels thoughtless and sounds awful. And then, instead of adding something, the second stanza, once again in italics, just kind of writes the first stanza again. "You don't have to be okay, just move forward. You don't have to be okay, just move forward." And it's like, all right, I get it. That's an interesting idea, I guess, but you're not doing anything with it. Here's one more. "It's okay to cry. Cry as long as you need. Sometimes there's comfort in crying." Again, it just feels like we're repeating ourselves here, doesn't it? You can cry if you want to. Go ahead and cry. Crying can feel nice. And sure, that's fine. I understand that. But at some point, you have to, tell me something. Instead of giving the poem an actual subject, a sense of purpose or weight, it seems happy to just say the same obvious truth over and over. I could go on like this, obviously. She has like 1,000 books, but I think you'd find it boring. And besides, after reading so many of these poems, I don't know, I start to see the appeal. Do you realize I was never the problem? The problem was your lack of commitment. The problem was never me because I was enough. The problem was you because you didn't see that. Like, is that a good poem? No, obviously that's not a good poem, but there is a kind of shallowness to it that I can't help but appreciate. It reminds me of ready-mades and pop art in that it just feels like a real shitty text that this person sent to her boyfriend. It is not 1 ounce better or more thoughtful than that. Good art is vulnerable, right? The good artist opens himself up and brings out something so specific that nobody could have ever had a thought quite like he did. And yet, almost magically, we find in that specificity a bit of ourselves, something big and universal and great and all that stuff. The magic of Eliza Grace, if you want to call it that, is that she is expressing vulnerability, talking about the pain of breakups, the profundity of love, the feeling that you are not enough. Yet it's all completely blunted, made meaningless and generic. So if that's all I had to say, I probably would not have made this video. I love bad art. I love talking about it and experiencing it and sharing it, and I have for so much of my life. But when you have a platform, people start to tell you, this is mean, don't do this. What do you care about this TikTok poetry account with 700,000 followers? She's just expressing herself, and a lot of people seem to like it, so what? Are you better than those people? And then I gotta be like, no, I don't think I'm better than those people. I don't think I'm a better person than those people. And then everyone in the comments is like, yes, you do. You think you're better. You think you're better, you piece of shit. And then I go, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Please. No, I love Eliza Grace's poetry. It's amazing. And then you go, that's what I fucking thought. And then you stomp me down and censor me, as you always fucking do. It's just not worth it. But then I discovered something that changed my life. A thread from Twitter user Sabrina Laura Poet alleging that Eliza Grace stole some of her poems. Stole a lot of her poems. Suddenly, my desire to talk about shitty art was morally justified, and I was alive again. So, in this video, I want to talk about the strange art of plagiarized poetry. Wow, wasn't that a bit intriguing? Damn. If you want to watch that whole video, it's about 20 minutes long. You can feel free to go over to my Patreon, where it is available currently. That video's out right now for my patrons. I've been doing this for a while now, so there's like 25 others. Anyway, bye.